Title of the book, The Grace and Truth Paradox, of course, reminds me of Pilate's question, what is truth? And without going into a whole lot of detail, that question in some minds has never been answered. It may seem obvious to us, but in other ways it doesn't to a lot of people. And without dragging it out, we live in a so-called postmodern age where there are a lot of people who say there is no truth. They may believe in scientific truth, but when it comes to moral or spiritual truth, well, then they say there is no truth. But how do you define truth from a biblical standpoint?
In Scripture, truth is always founded upon the nature of God, who He is. That which is in conformity to His nature, to who He is, and that which is in conformity to what He has said as revealed in His Word. That is truth. Jesus said that He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Not a way, a truth, a life. Not one truth on the menu, and then there's all these other truths which are equally valid. No, the truth. And I think, as Jesus prayed, sanctify them in truth. Your word is truth. And here's where I think, let me read a few verses that set this up from John chapter 1, where verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then skipping down to verse 14, the Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. From the fullness of His grace, we have all received one blessing after another. For the law, now listen to this gets to the truth issue. For the law was given through Moses. Now, when we think of the law, we often think, well, the law was something, we juxtapose law and grace. So there's the law of God and there's the grace of God. But truth is something more than the law, because he says, for the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, but God, the one and only, who is at the Father's side, has made Him known. What an amazing thing. God incarnate. He pitched His tent among us. He became Emmanuel, God with us forever in a human body, now in a resurrected human body. But the law was given through Moses. And the law had all of these standards. And you could think the law is synonymous with truth. The law reflected truth or came out of God's truth, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. So the truth is bigger than the law. The truth is way more encompassing. And it begins with who God is. And the way God's truth is manifested in our lives, sometimes we really misunderstand this. There are a lot of people who think that the laws and the truths and the commandments of Scripture are somehow cruel or unkind to us. Why would God lay this standard upon us? But it's like if you're up in a mountain pass and you're driving and it's late at night and there's thick fog. This happened to me one time on Highway 1 in California. If some of you have driven that, know what that's like even during the daytime. But at night in the fog, it's just kind of horrific. You're just driving along. Now, suppose you're driving along this mountain pass and there are guardrails. And at one point, let's say you can't see where you're going, and the next thing you know, your car hits the guardrail. You put it in park, you get out of the car, and you go and you look at your fender, which is dented, and what do you say? Oh, this guardrail. I can't believe what this guardrail did to my car. You don't stand there and whine and complain about the guardrail. You thank God for the guardrail. Why? because it saved your life. God's guardrails that are reflective of His truth, His will, His commandments are there not arbitrarily. They are there because God's standards dictate the way the universe works. And when you live in conformity to them, you come out good, and when you don't conform to them, you come out bad. They're there to protect us. Don't curse the guardrail. Don't curse God's truth. There are too many people today who are choosing just grace instead of grace and truth, or just truth, and I know we'll get into this. But there are some people who don't understand that by choosing grace and minimizing truth, that they're not only undercutting truth, they're undercutting grace.